Hey everybody. So I wanted to make another video, just something more positive. I don't want my only video to be negative. And the Path of Exile, it's not the patch notes specifically. It's basically a preview of what's coming up for Path of Exile 2. And I wanted to cover this because I'm playing Path of Exile 2. Love the game. It's really, really fun. So basically right here they're talking about, they're going to be making some changes. But let's go through this note by note. So like we mentioned last week, we'll be adding the capacity to fast travel between checkpoints within an area, as well as adding many more checkpoints to areas, generally at all entrances and exits to areas, meaning if you find these first, you'll be able to instantly travel to them to continue exploring. So that's a pretty big change, pretty good change in my opinion. A lot of times I will just clear an entire map just for the experience and drops, especially because I'm still in campaign. My character is still pretty early on. I think I'm only level 33 or so. You know, taking my sweet time with it. I've restarted a few times, trying out different builds, different characters, and so far I've stuck with the witch. So this is a pretty good change in my opinion. It's kind of frustrating sometimes. You'll clear the entire map, you'll find a checkpoint and be like, oh crap, now I have to walk like 17 miles all the way back to this one zone where the quest is instead of blah 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 blah. So next change, we'll also be making a passive point respec cheaper. Oh, thank God. I've I personally haven't had that much of an issue, but I have had to start new characters specifically because of the cost, because I just didn't have any gold. And if you're like, well, what do you spend all your gold on? And it's like, honestly, I've just been disenchanting everything. I didn't even realize I wasn't supposed to be disenchanting it because early on, very early, respecking was like 30 gold, 40 gold. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's, whatever. Yeah, I can do that easily. I did not realize as you got higher level, like around 40, 50, 60, the cost was exponential. And so, yeah, I just, made a new character. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Sure, I don't care. So, 40 to 50% less gold for respecking between the start and middle of in-game progression. Very good change, very, very positive change. Something a lot of people in the community have been complaining about. Happy to see it. The trials. Players were finding the trials at second mouse particularly frustrating in close range, so we've worked out underdamage skills when in close range, as well as fixing an important bug that was causing players to take far too much underdamage from damage over time. This is huge. Like, as my minion build, I still would often be stuck in close range because I just don't have the movement speed yet to really keep my distance. So a lot of times I would be too close for comfort and I would just lose half my honor or more in a single hit. Very, very annoying. Honor damage now scales based on distance to enemies within close range. You'll take 35% less honor damage, tapering off as you're further away from monsters. Yeah, good change right here. Ranged enemies will be more dangerous. Melee enemies that like to rush you down will be less dangerous in close range. That's, good change overall. Like that. Fixed a bug where damage over time was dealing thrice as much damage to honor as intended. And fixed a bug where honor resistance was only applying to 2/3 of that damage. Yeah, that definitely noticeable, especially with a lot of the death on or effect on death things like the poison pools and stuff like that. Minion builds, it's really hard to see the ground because you just have so much going on at all times. So a lot of times what would happen is you don't realize there's like a poison pool there. You don't realize something's on the ground. You step on it and you lost. There goes all your honor. Very frustrating, just insanely frustrating no matter how careful you are. Just damage over time stuff. That's it. You're done. GG. Skitter golems no longer use basic attacks and instead now just explode. Okay. I don't think I've come across any skitter golems. I'm not sure. Again, still very early in the game. Serpent Cleanse, Burrow, and Ambush Attack now has an improved visual telegraphing and cannot be used from as far away. Okay, this was one that actually cost me my very first Ascendancy trial several times in a row. Because the Serpent Clans, what they do is they would be like across the map, just about, and they would just appear next to you. You wouldn't even realize it. You would just all of a sudden, boom, they're right there. You're like, what the hell? Did that thing just teleport to me? What is going on here? So, Better telegraphed, much better, shorter range, massive improvement. Very, very happy with this. Volcanoes created by Rattle Cage's Fisher Slam now last half the duration. Oh, thank God. Okay, so again, minion build, so I'm not really doing a bunch of direct damage. So the entire fight with Rattle Cage was me trying to not die to the 8,000 effects happening on screen. Like, there was one point where there was nowhere safe for me to stand without taking honor damage because there were so many volcanoes on screen. It was the volcanoes, the shards falling from the sky, and then, of course, Rattle Cage's attacks itself, which incredibly frustrating to deal with. I just, so glad for this. So happy for this, especially when I find Rattle Cage just as a regular enemy, like a mini boss or whatever. Yes, so good, so good, so good. In-game and monster balance, generally balanced in-game maps was more punishing than intended, so we've toned down the damage a number of ways and disabled certain on-death effects. Yes, please, thank you. Disable all of them, honestly, please, 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 GGG. Disable all on-death effects. Please, I am begging you. I don't think anybody likes on-death effects. But they're incredibly frustrating to deal with. Undisabled, no, okay, I read that wrong, my bad. But, I read this, got way too excited, but it's disabled a certain on-death effect, but the telegraphing was not as clear as it should have been. Still, either way, very happy about it. Disable all on-death effects. I'm staying with that. Disable all on-death effects. Okay, maps no longer have additional elemental resistance penalties applied tier 6 and tier 11 and higher maps. Is now consistent across all of in-game. Like I said, I'm not there yet, but I could see that being incredibly frustrating. Especially because I'm brand new to Path of Exile. PoE 2 is my first foray into the game. And compared to something like Diablo, I've realized that resistances are actually very important. And like actually stacking your armor is very important. Whereas something like, I'd say Last Epoch, Diablo, Torchlight, really it's just, if you get hit you die regardless. So defenses don't really matter as much. All that matters is that you explode the whole screen in one button press. So in here, I've realized, okay, yeah, no, I need to be stacking resistances. And so things being flat across the board, good change. Chaos damage now also scales less aggressively over the in-game. It's pretty aggressive already, just in the campaign, so being less aggressive, I'm going to say it's a very good change. Critical strikes monsters now deal 40% less bonus damage. Good. Lower the baseline monster density of breach encounters, primarily by reducing the frequency of the elite monsters appearing. This seems kind of like a nerf. Well, again, not an in-game, but I feel like getting less elite monsters and having a less density is actually kind of like a nerf to the loot and stuff. But then, I suppose I don't really know how bad the elite monsters are. If that's something people are like, no, this is a good change, this is a positive change. Again, not there yet. Just basing off my experience with other ARPGs, I would be a little bit perturbed by this, but I'm going to assume this is a good thing because nobody I've seen has said it's a negative thing. So, hey, there we go. Disabled the volatile crystals modifier. We'll revisit this in the future pending telegraphing improvements. Good. This is one right here. This right here, massive. Purple explosives created by the volatile plants modifier on rare monsters now does significantly less damage. This has killed me so many times in just the campaign itself because I'll be like on the other side of the map. I'll get hit by some random fucking archer things. Purple explosives. That's it. I'm dead. Just instantly dead. 0 to 100. Dead. 100 to 0. Whatever. I know what I meant. Either way. Good change. Very good change. The Siphon Flask charges modifier on monsters now drains 10 times less flask charges per second. This is also something, even in campaign, I've experienced, and it's so frustrating, especially doing, like, trials. Like, just, yeah, your flasks are gone. Healing flask, Yeah, you don't need them anyways. You got honor, right? Mana flasks? Well, just quick casting spells. Go sit in the corner for a while until it comes back. For a while, I actually would only take flasks that would naturally regain charges because of this modifier. So, positive change. Positive change across the board. These changes should generally result in an in-game that is much more survivable than before, and we will continue to address problematic cases as they arise. Good, 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 good. Fantastic. Very happy. Love it. Character and item balance. We've made charm modifiers on belts substantially more common and now appear at much lower levels. The symbolism modifier now appears from level 23 onwards, and the of inscription modifier now appears from level 64 onwards. So this means that once you get into Act 2, you'll actually be able to start using more than one charm, which is very significant because, like I said, I have noticed personally resistance matters so much in this game. Like, stacking your defenses actually matters so much. Massive, massive W here. Woo! Electrocute is now 25% harder to build up, but the damage penalty has been removed from the support gem. Huge change. Massive, positive, very happy. I have a sorceress around level 25, I think, right now. The negative was ridiculous. Very positive, very happy. Add a new lightning damage and electrocute cluster to the passive tree between ranger and monk sections. Okay, so can't use it, but still good. The ranger electric build is something people use a lot. I'm not sure about monk. I haven't tried monk myself yet, so we'll see. It is now more difficult to chain freeze enemies by reducing the amount of freeze buildup applied after freeze has been applied. I've seen a lot of people saying, yes, this is a nerf, but they're happy about it because they feel that freeze is so, what's the word? Like, freeze is basically so powerful that you kind of have to run it. Like, if you aren't running freeze, then you're just nerfing yourself for no reason. So, positive change for the overall health of the game, I think. Happy about that. Hunter's Talisman now grants a +1 charm slot. The small passives leading up to it now grant the stat it formerly gave. The charm Helper text has been updated to indicate that you cannot have more than 3 charm slots unlocked so that we can add more sources of it in the future. Okay, so that kind of makes that talent useless right now, because if you get a +3 on your belt in the future, then it's like, okay, well, I guess I'll just respec out of that. So, but they're doing it so they can add more sources. I guess if 3 is still going to be the cap, then I don't know. I'm not sure what they're going to be doing with belt, but strange change, but I'll trust their vision, I guess. Skill and support gem balance. Since launch, we've unfortunately had to nerf a lot of skills that were far too overpowered. However, how do we define overpowered? Basically, it's a situation in which a skill is so powerful that players okay, well, I need to slow down. Sorry, everybody. A skill is so powerful that players feel no other method of playing the game is viable. Yeah, like I said with the freeze thing, basically that's what happened. So, I agree with this. If one build is just so clearly better than everything else, everybody feels kind of pigeonholed into playing that build because it's so good. Like, if you want to, do the best of the game you possibly can, you have to run this build. You have to run these skills. So, yeah. Generally speaking, we're trying to do this in a way that doesn't make a build bad, but we can make mistakes, which many people would argue they have already. But, I mean, hey, let's be easy on them, Ideally, any truly meta-shifting changes will only happen at the same time as a content patch with a new league to play in. Okay, so if they make massive, build-breaking changes, it'll be like, okay, look, we completely killed this build, but new league, try out new characters, try out new things, we got to do what we got to do. So, okay, makes sense. But doesn't mean we haven't been looking at underpowered skills and support gems. We've got a number of changes planned, which should improve some of these skills. The full list of changes that will be in the patch notes, but here's a sample of what you can expect. Improvements to Rolling Slam and all shield skills in the mace section. I haven't played melee, but people seem happy about this. Improvements to various bow skills, especially the skills used to generate frenzy charges. Okay? This, as a witch player, I'm very happy about this. Improvements to bone spells and chaos damage overtime spells in the occult section. Massive W here. Right now, it feels like I like to use Contagion and a few other chaos dots on my build right now with my minions, just so I can feel like I'm actually doing something rather than just sitting there looking at my minions going, yeah, I mean, go off. I'm just going to sit here sipping a martini and watching y'all do everything. So, massive W. A lot of the chaos damage over time I feel is super lacking right now, except for the debuffs where they take more damage. And I'm like, I mean, I guess I'm helping. But improvements to various crossbow skills, especially those at higher tiers. W. Improvements to some of the underachieving quarterstaff abilities. So, they're going through, they're like, okay, everybody's using this. When people start using these skills, they immediately drop off because they have all the data from us playing the game, obviously. And so it's good they're actually looking at that and going, okay, right, this needs to be improved because nobody's using them, or they start using them and quit, or whatever. So, positive, positive. Alongside these skill gem improvements, we've also done a pass over the support gems. We've added 2 new supports and removed or lessened the penalties of many others. Oh, thank goodness. Thank you, GGG. Removing the negative from support gems is something that a lot of people I've talked to have complained about. They're like, it's not a keystone. It's not a node. Like, why is there a negative on these support gems? It's so silly. It makes no sense. Support gems are supposed to support, not be a trade-off. The trade-off is already the increased mana cost and things like that. So, W. Massive W. Let's see. They added the Trimmer support gem, which can be used to give multiple more aftershocks. Oh, sorry, I bumped my mic. Can be used to give multiple more aftershocks to skills with a damage penalty. Okay. So you'll do more, but you have a damage penalty. It'll likely be something like 20 or 40%, like we've seen with other support gems. Unless they're applying the new reduced negative, in which case it'd be like 20%, whatever. Oh, and because it's going to come up, well, we'll get to it in the nerf section. But I want to talk about this specifically. We added the bidding support gem, which can be used to give more damage to the command skills of supported minions. Massive W here. Again, minion build. Sometimes you just want to have your boys blow up on some dude. You want to have them create gas bombs, whatever. Increasing the ability of those skills, or being able to increase the ability of those skills, massive W. Very happy about that. Minion builds getting buffed. We love to see it. Okay. I mean, minion builds have already been buffed pretty big. So far, before we get to nerfs, we're getting a new support gem, which can buff our skills even further. And we're getting an increase to bone skills and chaos dots. So, minion builds are just eating. Okay. Then the fire exposure, lightning exposure, and cold exposure gems no longer penalize damage of supported skills. They now have a mana cost multiplier of 120%, which, fair enough. I mean, costs more mana, but you're likely going to be stacking mana anyways, so, okay. There are also some notable nerfs to remaining overachieving skills. Skeletal Arsonist Spirit costs now match the other 2 Skeleton Mages. This should result in a slight decrease in the number of Arsonists at a higher level. Now, I actually want to go over this because people are, they're basically, what's the word? They're freaking out, really. I mean, like, they're just panicking, like, oh my god, this is the end of the world, blah, 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 blah. So, here, let me just, sorry, in OBS right now. Let me go over. Alright, so right now, my Skeleton Arsonist, level 10, 5 requires 198 spirit. As you can see, I have 201 spirit, I believe. So, here, let me just get 201 spirit. It costs 33 spirit per minion at level 10. Like, okay, that's pretty cheap. You know, 5 arsonists, pretty good. But I do want to point out, this skill, 20% less attack and cast speed, and it deals 20% less damage. But they did say they are, like, basically buffing support gems. So, with this change, Scattershot, for example, on Skeleton Arsonist, is likely going to be doing a lot more damage. Like they're either going to remove the attack and cast speed, so you'll have fewer skeleton arsonists, but they'll be doing a lot more damage, or be attacking faster, which is just overall EDPS increase. But, whoops. Let's look at what their cost will be. So, Spirit Gem. Yeah. Let's grab a Skill Gem. And let's see. A Skeletal Frost Mage at level 6 is 49 Spirit. Where is it? Skeletal Storm Mage. It starts at base 11, 42 Spirit. So, and then the Arsonist at level 6 is 37 Spirit. 33 for me because it's at 10. So, I would be going from 37 to 49. About what? 12 Spirit increase? Alright, so let's just open up Paint real quick. Alrighty. Oh, ignore that. There we go. I'm a professional YouTuber, as you can tell. Screwing up my, well, everything. But, anyways. So, yeah. So right now, we have level 6 Arsonist is 37 Spirit. Level 6 Mage is 49 Spirit. Okay. So right now, let's see. So if I still had them all at level 6, and again, the cost does go down as you increase the level. So right now, with the cost at 37 Spirit, this means I could have 5 Arsonists. Which, pretty good. 49 Spirit means I could have 4 Arsonists. Well, I'll put mages, but... So yeah, that's the massive difference we're looking at here. We are going basically -1 for these changes. And people are freaking out about it, going, oh, it's the end of days. Everything is terrible. We're all being nerfed. Blah, 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 blah. The build is dead. I'm quitting the game because of this. They're just being dramatic. Really, it's kind of ridiculous. And, here, let me go back to the patch notes here. As you can see, it sounds like, oh, it's a terrible thing, horrible thing. But as it goes up, like we saw at level 11, it'd be 42. And, you'll never have as many as you used to. But if they are actually buffing, like if Scattershot gets buffed, the negatives get removed, etc., etc., it's a net positive for our builds, right? So, a nerf for damage over time Tornado and Vine Arrow. These are never intended to be dealing damage themselves, but more so act as a way for other skills to propagate damage. A nerf, I haven't seen anybody talking about this. Magnetic Salvo can now only use your stuck lightning arrow as opposed to those created by party members. And as we wind down for the holiday season, we wanted to thank all of our blah, 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 blah. Okay, just pleasantries. But, yeah. A lot of people are freaking out. They're saying it's the end of the world. You know, the Infernalist minion build just got nerfed into the ground. It's going to be completely unplayable. Completely ignoring that our bone skills got buffed. Chaos damage is getting buffed, so you can incorporate that into your build now, so you can do more with your build. The support gems are getting buffed. The negatives are being removed, which is again going to continue to buff our build. And the only thing we're losing is maybe 1 or 2 arsonists. I mean, maybe it's more. I'm not at endgame yet, like I've said before. Maybe instead of losing 1 or 2 arsonists, people are going to be losing like 50 or 60 arsonists. I don't know how many people run. But I really don't think it's that big of a deal. I think people are just being a little bit dramatic. I think they're just, they want to hate on the game, I guess, for whatever reason. But either way, want to make a positive video. Let me know what you think below. Like, subscribe, blah, 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 the YouTube stuff. And I'll see you guys later.